So we grew these squash plants from seeds, and after 3 weeks of sowing the seeds, we transplanted the saplings here in these containers. And it's been about 3 weeks in this container, and they are growing so happily. If you have not seen that previous video, I'll put the link in the description and you can check it out. Few more days have passed, and today I notice that there is a flower opening here. And of course, there's only one female flower here, and there are no male flowers, so probably it will not pollinate unless the bees brought the pollens in their legs. But that's fine, these plants are still young, so I'm not worried about it. A couple more weeks have passed, and if you look at these plants, they have grown really big. They are at least 3 feet tall. And look what I found. There is a squash growing there. Let me show you the close up. Look at this. So there is another one growing here that hasn't fertilized yet. So this one, you can see that it's much bigger. It's about 3 inches long and about an inch wide. So this is definitely fertilized. If you look at this one, this is small. This is about 2 inches, 1.5 inches long and half an inch wide. So this flower hasn't opened yet, so it has not fertilized. And there is one more behind there, and there are more coming here. So these are all female ones. So this flower is a male flower. There is no squash below this flower. See, below this flower there is a squash. So this is the female one and this is the male one. So the pollination has to happen for it to start growing. So these flowers, they just open for one day. In the morning they open and by evening they close. So if they get fertilized, that's fine. Otherwise the squash will turn yellow and just drop. So if you look at these squash plants, you can see that they have grown really big. The whole planter is covered now with the leaves. Now one side effect of this is that all the flowers that are blooming there, pollinators can't reach them, because I'm sure they can reach, but it's hard for them to see that the flowers are blooming and to go and pollinate that. So I'll show you how to do manual pollination. So the flowers that I was showing you earlier have both opened up. So by the way, these flowers open just for one day. So if you look at this flower, at the bottom of this flower, there is no squash. So this is the male flower. And at the bottom of this, there is a squash developing. So this is the female flower. So let me just pluck the male flower. Let me show you here. So this has no squash at the below the flower. So this is the male flower. So what we need to do is, remove the petals of this flower. So the anther is remaining, and now gently just rub it on the stigma of the female flower, the middle portion of the female flower, very gently, and that's it. And now this will start growing, and within few days you will see that this has grown big. If you notice in your garden that you get these female flowers, but then after a few days they just drop off, then you need to do hand pollination, because for some reason they are not being pollinated. So I'll keep you posted how this flower does. And by the way, this squash is growing every day. It's like about 4 inches long. So it's been 2 days that we manually pollinated this squash, and it has doubled in size, both in width as well as in length. And if you look at this other squash, this is like really grown big. I'm going to harvest it. Here. So if the flower doesn't get pollinated, then the squash will dry up and fall off like this one. So if you notice that too many of your squashes are not growing and just drying up and falling off, that means there are not enough pollinators and you have to manually pollinate them. So it's been 5 days that we hand pollinated our squash. So let's see how it looks. So look at this now. This is about 6 inches long and at least 2 inches in width, and it's ready to be harvested. So we hand pollinated this one. So let me just remove it. Look at this beautiful, beautiful squash. And if you look at this plant, there are so many more growing. So this one is pollinated already. These are young ones growing, very thin ones, and they'll just keep on growing. And even on this side, on this second plant, you can see that there are squashes growing there. So basically it took us about 9 weeks to get our first squash. So we transplanted these saplings here, 2 of them, after 3 weeks, after we planted the seeds and they grew. So in 3 weeks we transplanted them here, and it's been about 6 weeks here, and now we have started harvesting the squashes. And I keep the soil moist, and it gets about 3 hours of sun, and they are just happy here. And now I have put these stakes to support these plants, because they are just kind of moving forward. So I'm just supporting them with this so that they don't fall on the side. But that's about it. So I hope this video was inspirational to you. It's really easy to grow squashes. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. If you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to our channel. And I'll see you next time. Happy gardening. Bye.